Let's dive into something that, let's be honest, freaks a lot of us out. That gap in your resume. You know the one. Maybe it was a few months, maybe a few years. It can feel like this huge, glaring flaw. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? Today, we're going to talk about how to flip that script and turn that gap from a source of fear into a real point of strength.
So I want you to be really honest with yourself for a second. Have you ever felt that little pit in your stomach when you look at your resume? That feeling of being less than because of a break in your work history? If you have, you're definitely not alone. It's an incredibly common feeling. But here's the thing, it's built on a complete myth. And this right here is the absolute key. The problem isn't the gap. It never was. The problem is the power we hand over to it. It's all about your mindset. See, the second you let that gap define who you are as a professional, that's the moment you lose. Our goal here is to take that power back. Okay, so if the gap itself isn't the real problem, then what is? Well, it's the fear. The fear of being judged, the fear of being rejected, the fear that it makes you look like you're not committed. That fear is what really gets you. It chips away at your confidence, and yeah, it can absolutely sabotage your chances. This quote just nails it with this amazing analogy. Seriously, think about it. When you see someone carry what society might call a flaw with total, unapologetic confidence, what happens? You stop seeing it as a flaw. It just becomes part of their story. That exact same idea applies to your career. The way you carry it, your confidence, can make the gap completely irrelevant. So what happens when we're afraid? Our first instinct is to hide, right? We try to fudge the dates on our resume, we get all vague in the interview, we just cross our fingers and hope nobody brings it up. But that move, trying to hide that so-called imperfection, is actually the real resume killer. You're basically trying to hide the fact that you're human. And this is the big disconnect, right? From your side of the table, you think you're just covering up a little imperfection. No big deal. But on their side, a recruiter or a hiring manager sees something totally different. They don't see an imperfection. They see uncertainty. They see someone who isn't confident in their own story. And that feeling of uncertainty, it's a killer because it just destroys trust. And trust is everything in a hiring decision. A company is about to invest in you, right? So if they get even a tiny sense that you're not being straight up or confident about your own past, it sends up a massive red flag. This is the silent question that is running through the back of every recruiter's mind. They connect how you tell your personal story to how you'll perform professionally. If you can't even handle telling your own life story with confidence, how can they possibly trust you to handle a complicated project or a tough client or a really high-pressure deadline at work? So, what's the answer? It's simple, but it's not easy. You have to stop hiding and start owning it. It's about taking full control of your story and telling it with confidence. Look, the gap is a fact. It happened. But the story around that fact, the meaning you give it, that's all you.
You know, a career gap is never really an empty space, is it? It was filled with something. Maybe you were learning a brand new skill. Maybe you were taking time to recover your health. Maybe you were taking on the responsibility of caring for your family. Or maybe you were just exploring the world or dealing with, well, real life. These things aren't weaknesses. They're human experiences that made you who you are today. So when we talk about your narrative, what do we actually mean? It's not about making stuff up. It's the exact opposite, really. It's about telling the true story of your gap. What happened, what you learned from it, and why it was part of your journey. And doing it with honesty and confidence. That story becomes a powerful piece of your professional identity. And all of this leads us to the final, most important takeaway. You are not your gap. A period of time on a calendar has zero power over your career. You're the one who decides. You can let it be a weakness, or you can weave it into a really compelling story of who you are.
I want you to really let that one sink in. It's such a simple, powerful truth. That break in your employment history, it's just a data point. It is not the sum of who you are as a person or professional. But your narrative, the story you build around all your experiences, including the gaps, that is what represents you. It shows your resilience, it shows your honesty, and it shows your confidence. And that's the ultimate secret, isn't it? The goal was never to have a perfect, flawless resume. Nobody's actually impressed by that because nobody's perfect. The real goal is to present a real, confident, and human career story with all the interesting twists and turns included. So, I'll leave you with this question. The power is completely in your hands. A gap is just a chapter in your book, it's not the whole story, and you are the author. So take a look at your own journey and decide, what powerful, confident, and human story are you going to choose to tell?